Archetypal Criticism: The Archetypes of Literature by Northrop Frye, who was born in 1912 and who died in the year 1991. Northrop Frye was born in southern Quebec Province, Canada. He studied theology and was keenly interested in Canadian literature, culture, and education. Though his critics charge him with arbitrariness in his taxonomy and categorization of literary works, his influence as a literary critic, theorist, and educator extended worldwide. His first book on William Blake won him fame. In his second book, Anatomy of Criticism, he articulated the role of archetypal symbols, myths, and generic conventions in creating literary meaning. The word archetype was derived from the Greek word archetypon, meaning beginning pattern. According to Frye, archetype in literary criticism refers to a recurrent image, character, plot, theme, or pattern that have passed through by its repetitions in many works across the countries. To prove his point, Frye draws sources from different areas including Bible. The detailed studies of primitive myths by James Fraser and Jesse Weston have also helped him. But the main source for Frye, perhaps, was the psychologist Carl Jung, particularly Jung's account of the collective consciousness. In defining genuine criticism, Frye says that it is connected to but different from philosophy, theology, history, and the social sciences. Knowledge of archetypes enables us to perceive the shared myths that literary works rely on and explore. Through this awareness, we can glimpse the underlying structure of the structures of all works. Creative writers have used myths in their works, and critics analyze texts for a discovery of mythological patterns. This kind of critical analysis of a text is called archetypal criticism. T.S. Eliot has used mythical patterns in his creative works. The Wasteland is a fine example for it. There is a type of criticism which focuses only on an analysis of a text. Such criticism confines itself to the text and does not give any other background information about the text. This type of criticism is called formalistic or structural criticism. In historical criticism, the background information helps the reader to understand the text. So, the reader needs both these criticisms to have a better understanding of the text. Archetypal criticism is a synthesis of a structural criticism and historical criticism. Owing to jealousy, Othello, in the Shakespearean play, inflicts upon himself affliction. This is the particular truth of the drama from which the reader learns the general truth of life, that jealousy is always destructive. This is called the inductive method of analysis and structural criticism. Similarly, the historical inductive method that helps the reader understand the genre of drama originates from Greek religion. So, archetypal criticism, the combination of both these criticisms, is an all inclusive one. It involves the efforts of many specialists. An editor analyzes the text, a rhetorician analyzes the narrative pace. A literary social historian studies the evolution of myths and rituals. Thus, a thorough understanding of the text is possible under archetypal criticism. As a matter of fact, the world of nature is governed by rhythm and it has got a natural cycle. The seasonal rhythms in a solar year are spring, summer, autumn, and winter. This kind of rhythm is also there in the world of animals and human beings. Crops are planted and harvested rhythmically every year, and they have their seasons. During planting and harvest, sacrifices and offerings are made, which are rituals. Actually, works of literature have their origins in such rituals, and the archetypal critic discovers and explains them. A writer usually gets a concept or idea of his work in a moment of inspiration. Then he expresses what he has perceived in the form of proverbs, riddles, and folk tales. He uses myths either deliberately or unconsciously, and it is the critic who discovers the archetypes, myths in a work. Every myth has a central significance in a myth center that may be god, demigod, superhuman, or legend. Frye classifies myths into four categories. The dawn is spring and is said to be birth phase. The birth of a hero, his revival and resurrection, his defeating the powers of darkness and death are all the happenings here. The father and mother are the subordinate characters here. This phase is with archetypes of comedy and rhapsodic poetry. The zenith is summer and is said to be marriage or triumph phase. Myths of apotheosis, of the sacred marriage, and of entering into paradise are found in this phase. The companion and the bride are the subordinate characters. This phase has the archetypes of romance and pastoral poetry. The sunset is autumn and is said to be the death phase. Myths of fall, of dying god, of violent death, and of sacrifice, and of the isolation of the hero are found in this phase. The traitors are the subordinate characters here. This phase has the archetypes of tragedy and elegy. The darkness is winter and is said to be the desolation phase. Myths of the triumph of these powers, myths of floods and the return of chaos, and the myths of the defeat of the hero are seen in this phase. The witch and ogre are the subordinate characters here. This phase has the archetypes of satire. These are the four categories of myths that Frye identifies in different types of works written by different writers. Thus, Frye classifies the literary universe into four categories corresponding to the four natural seasons. Comedy corresponds to spring, romance to summer, tragedy to autumn, and satire to winter. Apart from these, Northrop Frye says that there is a quest myth that makes the hero go in quest of a truth or something else. In this way, a critic can analyze myths and finds how a drama, a lyric, or an epic has been evolved. Moreover, Frye is also of the opinion that there are 12 brand archetypes, namely the innocent, everyman, hero, orator, explorer, creator, ruler, magician, lover, caregiver, justler, and sage. Moreover, according to Frye, to attain perfection, the comic and tragic visions of life that are used in the creation should be analyzed. In a comic vision of life, in a myth, the human world is presented as a community. There, a hero is presented as the representative, whereas in a tragic vision of life, the human world is in tyranny. Similarly, in the comic visions of life in a myth, the animal world is presented as a community of domesticated animals like a flock of sheep with pastoral images. But in the tragic visions of life, there are vultures, serpents, dragons, and so on. According to Frye, all who deal with Literature need two powers, a power to create and a power to understand. As criticism has every characteristics of a science, it should have a systematic study with any piece of literature that it deals with. Moreover, every poet has his private mythology, his own spectroscopic band or peculiar formation of symbols, of much of which he is quite unconscious. So, the critic should take over where the poet leaves off, and with the help of literary psychology, he should connect the poet with the poem. No doubt, this is quite possible if he applies archetypal criticism here.